Caitriona Balfe. Looking back over season 3 of Outlander, it was a really good season. The fans loved it, the critics loved it. Can you recall your highlight moment or scene in terms of what you were most proud of?
Ooh, you know, there's a couple of things, and I guess because the season, Claire and Frank, and also because that was sort of the last stuff Tobias and I got to do together. But we had, I guess, episode 3. It had this real kind of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf vibe, you know, these two people just stewing in their misery. And there was something really satisfying about that. That was kind of fun to do. But obviously, actually, do you know what? One of the fun things, even though I absolutely dreaded it, was turtle soup, just because it's kind of ridiculous and fun to do something drunk. And Sam sort of was telling me that it was a little too close to home. He's seen me after a few drinks, but no, it was not the rest of the stuff. I mean, like just the drunk Caitriona.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, and I don't know, just a lot of the different stuff. It was kind of also cool to sort of ramble around a pretend jungle for 3 days and do all that stuff. It was kind of fun.
Well, speaking of that, in Uncharted, it seems like Claire's doing her version of Castaway. Was that as emotionally and physically draining as it looked on screen?
Well, you know, it was funny because we had to, you know, you have to plot sort of these 3 days and what happens. You know, dehydration, I guess, was the biggest thing, and a lot of the research, you know, I read accounts of people who like get, you know, their car breaks down in the desert and they go walking, and you're like, why would you ever do that? Or, but it's interesting how quickly your body starts to break down if you don't have water. I mean, you can survive for so long without food, but it's that kind of, I guess, you know, the water issue is the real problem. But it was pretty arduous in the way that it was very hot. We were in South Africa. And when you're on your own and it's sort of just you and the crew and you don't really have anything to say, so you're not really emoting, it is quite a mental challenge. You know, and that it was great though. It was quite a crazy, we did it over about 5 days, maybe 6 days. And you do kind of get into this zone a little bit, but luckily I had bottles of water at hand, so it wasn't that bad. So.
Thank God for that. I think that would have just been a bit too method for you to actually.
Yeah, they didn't try and kill me for it, which was quite nice.
You know, we've had the pleasure of speaking to you, Caitriona, over the last few seasons, and I've asked questions about how the show's affected your career and what it's meant to you, but we'd really love to know actually how, for 3.5 seasons so far, how has this show actually affected and most impacted you on a personal level?
You know, I think the show has, well, on a personal level, it's affected me in the way that I have a really steady job. I think I spent most of my adult life before I got this just traveling around and, you know, never really had stability. And I also think that there's something in the doing of something as big as this, you know, just that day-to-day being on set, accomplishing, you know, just finishing a day, it gives you a real, like a confidence in your ability to achieve something that I guess I didn't have with my previous career. And, you know, we have there's a real family atmosphere with this show. I think anyone who's on a show this long gets that. You know, there's something really grounding about being amongst, you know, 200 extended family members every day and getting to know them and them getting to know you on a really, you know, intimate personal level. And that's, having that community is a really, you know, I think it's a really beneficial thing on a personal growth level, you know, if that makes sense.
So you received your 3rd consecutive Golden Globe nomination. Congratulations, which they usually don't nominate people that many times. How did you find out, and what was the evening like?
I believe I was at work. Yeah, we were on set, and I really was not expecting it at all. And you know, you kind of like to not think about those things because, you know, inevitably it's such an exciting thing if it happens, but obviously it doesn't happen very often. So there's going to be a time when you're not going to be, and you just sort of want to not think about the day or that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I was just working, and somebody called me. I think my agent called me, you know, and it was just very, very exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is exciting. You know, you're an old hat at this now. It's third nomination. You're like, yeah, whatever. You went had a drink. You went to the party. It was all good, you know.
I didn't. I was so sick. I spent the previous 2 days in bed. I'd flown from Australia actually to LA and got this horrible flu. So I'd managed to go out the first night to an event and then spent the next 2 days in bed with drips and juices and all kinds of things. So it was actually quite a quiet night, actually. I went to bed pretty early.
Bloody Australia. Thanks a lot.
The Australian flu.
The Australian flu. Let's actually start to delve a little into season 4. So you're shooting season 4 now in Scotland, is that right?
Yeah, we're almost finished. We have 3 weeks left, actually.
Oh, how exciting. And how's it going? How have you found the shoot? You're getting back together with the cast and crew for season 4.
You know, it's been a really great season. It's very different. I think, you know, that's the one great thing about this show is that every season is very different. This year we're in America, even though we're in Scotland, but it has a different feel to it. It's quite, you know, it's looking at a family, an immigrant family, creating a home and finding their way through a new country and a new land and all of the things that that brings. Obviously for Claire, there's a very different take on it because she's essentially had lived in America for 20 years in the future. And so to come back to sort of the inception of the American democracy as we know it now it's quite interesting to see her knowing what was going on in that time, but coming face to face with it in a very real way. So that's really, it's really cool stuff. And then you get to see them create Fraser's Ridge and this community that they build there. And obviously it's a lot about family, a lot about home, and you know, the interaction with their neighbors as well, which is quite a cool thing.
So we know we're probably going to see Sophie Skelton again as Brianna, but I'm also wondering, are we going to see Duncan LaCroix or maybe Tobias Menzies?
I don't know. I think Ron has already let that cat out of the bag. So if Ron has said it, then probably. I cannot say anything, but yeah, Ron's been loose-lipped about that, I think.
He definitely has. Like, he's just kind of like letting it all out. We also know that we're going to see a lot of new characters, obviously, for season 4. You're in a completely new, you know, location. So Ed Spillers is coming in as the villainous smuggler, Stephen,
yes.
Which is so exciting. And for me, especially, I love Maria Doll Kennedy. She's such an amazing actress. She's
incredible.
Talk us about those two and how they've impacted the cast and working with them.
Yeah, well, Maria is just the most darling woman, and it's so nice to have another Irish woman on set. But she's wonderful. Jocasta is such a great character. Maria is so fantastic as her. You know, Claire and Jocasta do have their issues. It's not quite the bosom buddies, but no, she's brilliant, and you know, she brings a fantastic, you know, feeling to set, and we've loved having her. And Ed is fantastic, but you know, the character is quite he's not the nicest. So he's been great though. You know, it's always good when you have new people come in and sort of inject this new energy into the show.
Well, Outlander, of course, has a very dedicated fan base. Do you have a favorite fan interaction?
I think the best one yet that I've had, and I may have mentioned this before, I was in Iceland last year and I went to the Blue Lagoon and I was in the changing rooms getting dressed, not quite dressed, and these two lovely old ladies from Queens I think it was Queens or Brooklyn, came over to me and just, started telling me about how much they loved Claire as I was pretty much buck naked. And it was just, I think stuff like that is always very funny because you're just like, is this a good time? Do you think this is a good time to have this conversation? But they were so lovely, so it was fun.
Wow, I think that's taking it too far. But okay, that's a whole other thing. A good sport about it. What we all love Outlander for different reasons, right? For me, I love the historical aspects of how this show touches on various parts of history as a history nerd. And I love it how Claire knows what's going to happen and has to kind of toe the line between whether she does things to affect history or not. And I'm just wondering, over the last 4 seasons, you've had to go through so many different time periods and different kind of massive historical events. Have you done a lot of research and reading to contextualize what Claire knows and what she's doing in these particular time periods?
Yeah, I mean, definitely some. It depends. There's certain things that especially in the beginning, lots about the 40s and lots about sort of where she would have been in that time, sort of coming into it. I mean, some of the stuff, reading about Scottish history and stuff like that wasn't really relevant or wasn't really helpful because Claire was sort of discovering it as she went along. But definitely this year, quite a bit about, the time that she finds herself in and with the regulators and sort of the build up to the American Civil War. That has been really interesting to research. But you always want to allow moments of discovery as well for the character. So, I enjoy doing the research. I enjoy reading up on these different times, but you don't want to get too bogged down in accuracy because I think you want to retain that that sort of ability of letting people be sort of organic and playing the person rather than playing the time, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. Is Claire going to be more settled this year? She seems to have been in such upheaval the last few seasons.
Yeah, this is a very different side of Claire this season. And that was quite an adjustment for me. I think but the beauty about being on a long-running show is that you get to be surprised by your character still. And this is it's a much more settled version of Claire, I think. And we see a much more nurturing side of her. And, before it was a lot of the sort of drama of discovering love and all of that, or being a professional and being very much the surgeon and that being her focus. But this year, it is much more about home and creating that and the value of also having that side of your life. I think we can make people one-dimensional by saying, oh, she's a strong woman and she does this and, she's all about her career and everything like that. But Claire is multifaceted and it's been nice to explore the sort of more quiet and nurturing side of her.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually what we're probably most excited about seeing. Now, we can't ask you to do, and you knew this was coming, right? We always ask about the 3 words to describe the season, and we have to do it again because it was really, really good last time. We loved what you gave us last time. So Caitriona, the 3 words to describe what we can look forward to most for season 4 without giving too much away.
Family, home, and other cultures.
Oof.
Ooh.
That's good.
I don't know.
I like it. That's really good. Caitriona, once again, we really appreciate your time. We love your work on Outlander and congrats on season 3. Good luck for season 4. We hope to see you on the red carpet in the next few months. And thank God the Scottish Wi-Fi actually held out this time.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but thank you. Yes, we got there in the end. Thanks, guys.